Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris the High Guy Jacobs, and today we are continuing our 7-part series with part number 2, and we're looking at armaments. All the armaments that are currently available in the game by category. Last video we covered headgear. This video we're covering weapons. Now, if you'll notice, I am on a different account. This is one of my other accounts. This is my rider heavy account, which means that all the technology and all the equipment and all the armaments that I have are focused towards making my riders more efficient. Okay? And that by its own right is a very important part of this. Remember, what we're trying to do is hyper-focus our troops, hyper-focus our research, hyper-focus our equipment and armaments to make sure that we can compete to the best of our ability. This information is biased towards free-to-play players or low-spending players, okay? Because truth be told, if you're a whale and money doesn't matter to you, my advice doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want, buy anything, and it doesn't matter. My advice is specifically there a lot more for the free-to-play player, the low-spending player, new players, and things like that. That's what we're really trying to focus on. Because the truth is, there are a ton of mechanics in this game that need to be explained, and armaments are obviously one of them. Now, with that precursor being, make sure that you hyper-focus the troops and the troop types that you want, just like you do with your heroes, just like you do with your armaments. Let's keep that in mind as we go through these. Okay, so first things first, just like it was with the headgear, you're going to find in your elite category that there are 3 weapons per type. You've got 3 infantry, 3 rider, 3 ranged, 3 leader, and of course 3 overall weapons. Okay, now let's look at them. We'll look at them individually and kind of give you an idea what you're looking at. For infantry, you've got your spiked shotgun, which provides infantry squad lethality and infantry squad attack. You've got your rhino gun shield, which provides infantry squad lethality and overall squad basic attack damage. And then you've got infantry squad lethality and overall squad attack. So how are these used properly? Truth be told, if you're an infantry main, chances are you're going to go with this one here because the infantry squad attack will give you more than what your overall squad attack will. Infantry squad attack has a higher, like the specific squad attacks, pardon me, have a higher threshold than the overall squad attacks do. Okay, so if you're infantry heavy, if you're specifically infantry like I am on my main account, you might look at the spiked shotgun. If you have more mixed troops, you might look at the barbed machine gun. And if you have squads that are specific to basic attack damage, you might look at the rhino gun shield as well. When you're looking at the riders, guess what? It's going to do the exact same thing here when you're running through these 3. So this one provides rider squad lethality and rider squad attack. This provides rider squad lethality and squad's basic attack damage going up. And then obviously rider squad attack and overall squad, or rider squad lethality and overall squad attack. So again, this is very much the same. If you're a rider specific and you have a ton of riders, you might go with the Uzi subgun. If you want to increase more of your basic attack damage, you might go with the German subgun. And if you have more multiple troop marches, you might go more with the grenade launcher. Okay. Same with ranged. You're going to be providing ranged squad lethality, ranged squad attack. Oops. You're going to be providing ranged squad lethality and squad basic attack damage. And then lastly, ranged squad lethality and overall squad attack. So, just like the other 2, you can see how this is a very simple system once you start to break it down, right? If you're infantry heavy or ranged heavy and you only have ranged troops, your marksman crossbow might be the choice. If you want to increase that basic attack damage, you're going with the compound. And if you want to, if you have more mixed troops, things like that, you might go with the precision rifle to give you the overall squad attack. Okay. Now, when we get to the leaders, of course, it's very much going to be the same type of idea. The squad lethality, so overall squad lethality and overall squad attack. Overall squad lethality and overall basic attack damage. And then overall squad lethality and overall skill damage dealt. So, because right now most of the meta is based on skill damage, things like that, you might be more inclined to go focus on the golden revolver. If you're more looking for just that base attack, you might be looking for the Peace Revolver, or if you're looking to build up your basic attack damage, you might go for that Desert Eagle. And then lastly, we've got the weapons that are here for your overall heroes, which is typically your damage dealt to zombies, your gathering speed, and then overall squad lethality and attack. But just like we looked at the headgear, in my opinion, your Sawtooth Axe is totally pointless because your overall heroes are not leading marches. They're typically gathering or killing zombies. So in my opinion, I'm going to go ahead and dismantle the Sawtooth Axe and the Steel Ice Axe almost every time, and only keep the Universal Shovel because it provides that additional gathering speed. Once we hone on some additional gathering attributes, obviously we can turn that into a pretty decent gathering speed or gathering equipment. And yes, it is important to put armaments on your gatherers to help increase your speed, your load, and the rest. Okay, so don't forget about your Universal Shovel. Now, when we go ahead and take a look at the legendary frags, you'll notice again that we're missing that third option. That is because it's locked behind your superb weapon frag choices, or your superb weapon frags. We will go over those as well. But let's take a look at what you're available here for, and you know how they change. Of course, they're going to be the same original stats, just a little bit stronger, right? That infantry squad lethality is 24 instead of 12, and then 1.8 instead of 0.9. If you look at the other one here, at the Rhino gun shield, of course, we're going ahead and doubling those original stats to start. 24 and 1.8 versus 12 and 0.9. Okay. Same with your riders. You're going to get that Uzi subgun where your lethality and squad attack is up, or the German subgun where your lethality and basic attack damage is up. Same with riders or ranged. You're going to go lethality and squad attack versus lethality and basic attack. If you're looking at your overall, you're going to get that squad lethality and squad attack, and then you're going to get, again, squad lethality and basic attack damage. So you can see how even though there's tons of options, and I know I've said this before, but even though there's tons of options, it's very repetitive so that you're not trying to figure, like, it's easier to figure out which ones are specific to what you want to do. Okay? Just like we are here, I'm going to get rid of this Steel Ice Axe almost every single time because we don't really use overall heroes for much. And I'll only keep the Universal Shovel for that additional gathering speed. Believe it or not, once you start to level these up, I mean, an additional 10% almost, 7.5% is still pretty good just for free. So if you're lucky enough to pull these or collect shards for them as you do, as you'll naturally get them, they're not a bad thing to keep. But just like the helmets, there are superb weapons here as well. Those superb weapons come with a third basic attribute. So the barbed machine gun, for example, is going to be doing a lot more. Not only is it providing that infantry squad lethality and the skill damage, but it's also flat increasing the flat attack as well. So obviously, if you're an infantry main, you're going to be shooting for the barbed machine gun. If you're a rider main, you're going to be shooting for the grenade launcher because, of course, it increases that skill damage and squad attack. If you're a rider, you're going to be going, or if you're ranged, you're going for that precision rifle, right? Skill damage and squad attack. Same with the golden revolver, skill damage, squad attack. And ideally with your Sawtooth Axe, you're going to dismantle if you end up getting any of them, because damage to zombies is kind of moot. You get to a point where killing zombies is very simple, so you don't need the armaments to do that, and you'd be better to dismantle them and use the fragments to buy the armaments that you actually want to use. Okay? So keep that in mind. As you can see with all the ones that I've used, I've put into my grenade launcher because that's the one that I'm trying to get because I am a rider account. So that's where that's coming from. Now, when we talk again about armaments, we want to talk about the hones for those armaments. Okay? So let's take a look at the guns, right? The weapons that we're looking at. And let's take a look at... sorry, not infantry. We want to take a look at the weapons. Okay? And let's take a look at the attributes that we can hone on to these weapons. Okay? So we go manage. Remember, if you want to rank them up, all you have to do is sacrifice one of the same level. So if I wanted to rank up my German subgun, I would just need a 0-star German subgun, and then I could go ahead and rank that up another progress here. Okay? Very, very simple. But it's the question of honing that people want to know more about. What attributes are proper? Which ones do you want to focus on? Which ones do you want to avoid? Okay. So again, with these attributes, you've got tons to choose from. Squad attack, squad defense, specific to the rider, infantry ranged. Overall, you can look at the overall rally attack, overall squad attack, defense, squad lethality, and block, which gives you to not just your specific troops, but overall troops. You can look at speed, squad load. If you wanted to do for extra zombies, you could. Travel speed, you could if you wanted as well. But it really depends on the type of troops. So if you look at what the troops do in general, like we've spoken about, infantry does better at being tanky. So they will do better when you kind of pump their defense, right? They're a little bit better when you do defense. Very kind of specifically because of their ability to tank already. The rider squads do more damage, so having more of that ranged or rider squad attack, rider damage, things like that is probably within your best bet. Rider lethality, because that's going to provide you your bonus damage. Like we have here, rider squad attack, rider squad lethality, or always rider squad block. Having block and lethality are your good attributes almost every time. Just because of how the calculations work. You have to think about when they're calculating damage, where does those calculations take place? Just like bedmass, or PEMDAS, or however you remember it from school, right? The order of operations is going to change the value of something. It's very much the same way as what it is here. Okay? Lethality and block are calculated near the end of the order of operations. So the more influence you have on your lethality and block, the higher those bonus damage percentages is. Okay? So because squad and defense, attack and defense are calculated earlier in the equation, they're not nearly as impactful, right? Having an extra 2% squad attack, for example, versus 25% or 25 lethality, you'll end up doing more damage with the rider squad lethality than you would with rider squad attack at plus 2%. Okay? So, infantry wants more defense, riders want more damage, and truth be told, ideally you want to put HP on your ranged, but those attributes aren't really capable to be put on. They don't allow you to do HP. So for ranged, you're looking more along the lines of a little mix of both attack, defense, lethality, and block. You kind of want to balance those out, as you can. Or put them, especially if you're doing ranged, put it straight into like rally, right? You could do rally basic attack damage, rally counter damage, rally attack, skill damage, things like that, which would really create an item that would be really good for starting rallies with Julia or with Bard or whoever you want to start your sieges with. Okay, you can absolutely do well with those. But that gives you a ton of capabilities to be custom to what you want, right? Because with this game, there's so many mechanics and so much nuance. It does allow for a ton of customization on your own. However, that amount of customization also leads to min-maxing and things like that. And, people arguing over which one is better. But again, it comes down to when those calculations take place. Okay? So the honed attributes you're going to be looking for, obviously down here, you have a ton to choose from. When honing, always hone out the one that's least effective to you. So because there's two ways to look at this. I could either look at lethality being the lowest. It's lower than my block, so I could do that one out first. Or, because I know that I want to have more damage being done by my riders, I could change out the block because I would rather have more lethality anyways and try to get more lethality out of it. Because at the end of the day, a rider does best when they're pumping out more damage. Especially out in the field where they can still run away from the fight when they need to. So even if you wanted to put additional movement speed on it, feel free. If I look at my other infantry heroes on my other account, for example, I've got some travel speed there on my Adut to make her more faster in the battlefield, which is why my Adut Miyamoto is actually faster than my riders. So I like to hunt with them instead. And since they're tankier, they have a little bit more sustainability in the field for me. right? So there's ways that you can customize it to make them, work for your benefit. And that's really, really what it comes down to. Don't let all of the choices that you have sway you from hyper-focusing the best way possible. Okay? Now, for me personally, I'm a bit of a collector, so I will probably end up having at least, one each full one before I start demolishing a lot of the other ones. Like, I'll still get I'll still keep my barbed machine gun, even though I'm not going to use it very often. Just because I'm a collector and that's my mental issue. Just like I've shown in the other ones, how it's sometimes hard to get rid of hones that you have. Like, I have a 20% oil speed on one of my guns, or on one of my boots. And instead of getting rid of it, I simply use it on my oil gatherer. Is it ideal? Probably not. I could do better if I was to focus it. But then again, I don't have enough honing chips to hone all the ones that I want, right? Those still take time and money. So you see how the cycle kind of creates itself. You want to be efficient, but also be okay with dismantling. As you'll notice, I don't have any blue. I only have one green. I've dismantled almost every single one that I come across. Because especially these ones aren't good for much of anything. Yes, you can upgrade them, and yes, they're free, and you get a ton of them, and blah, blah, blah. But you'll have more than enough purples, in a very short period of time that you won't actually need your blues or greens. You can just dismantle them right off the bat. Okay? But that's really it when we're talking about armaments for guns, folks. For the weapons, we've gone through all the ones you have to choose from. Again, they're very specific to what you plan on doing with them. When you're looking at your weapon, your superb weapon choices, obviously understand that these ones are far more expensive. They come with 3 to start. You do get 2, and they provide this. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you, which I never did. Let's show you. Let's see if I have. We'll just do it on this helmet here. I noticed this in the attributes. Check this out here. This becomes the option. A rare hone attribute may appear in the 5th slot when honing, which is this. When taking skill damage, immediately deal damage to the current target for 1350. So it's basically like a natural thorns, which I think is absolutely fantastic, which you can get in that 5th slot. So you can end up with a total of, the 3 that you get, plus 4 additional, plus that 5th rare hone, which is just a skill damage, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So there's tons to work on, especially when you're looking at those superbs. There are a reason why they are called superbs. Obviously, they have, more stats and attributes to them. But in the long run, they're far more expensive. So if you're lucky enough to get them, congratulations. If you're still hunting for them, good luck. Push as hard as you can in IR and AR, as that's where you'll find these fragments as well. As well as, I think you get them in GW, in Genesis War Now 2. So there's options out there for armaments, but remember, guys, it does take hyper-focusing. Because there's so many to choose from, you want to pick a lane, you want to stay in it, and you want to do your best to create at least one line that when you use your rally boost, right? So you use that plus 50% rally expansion, and you're rocking 300 and some odd troops in there. You're obviously going to be, able to fight with those, at least that one march. So even if you're in a group, you're still able to do damage. And that's what you can expect to do the best for free-to-play or low-paying players. Okay? But that's it, guys. That is it for weapons. That is everything we have touched into on all of the available options that you have so far. Some of the ones you want to focus on, obviously for the attributes, on what you want to hone on them. We've gone through the superb weapon fragments. We've gone through some of the rare honed abilities that you have. If I'm going to mention one other thing, your mega armament sale is a great opportunity to be able to get some armament pieces, fragments, gems, and things like that at a pretty nice cost. For only, this one ends up being $9.99 and $2.99, so for $13 every week, you can earn a ton of extra fragments, a ton of extra rewards. It's actually a pretty good investment, the mega armament sale. So go ahead and spend there as well if you can, okay? But that's it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is part 2 of our deep dive into all the armaments available, where we've gone over weapons. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know I have. If you have, go ahead and hit a like, or go ahead and like the video. Comment down below what you think about armaments. what you're excited about coming up into armaments. And if you're in game, find me in game and share me your favorite armament. I'd love to see cool, what people have for cool setups, what they were lucky enough to get for hones. I'm fascinated with that kind of stuff. So reach out to me in game. Region 474, Alliance GROP. High Guy is my name. The High Guy is my name. And again, if you're looking for somewhere to play, feel free to reach out. We've always got open spots. If you're looking for a nicer region or a nice alliance and a healthier region, feel free to reach out. And but that being said, guys, that's it. So love, peace, chicken grease, and for everybody else, stay lifted.